Welcome to educational channel of sureshbhattclasses, quantitative aptitude video on ratio and proportion. We are going to learn what is ratio and what is proportion. We start with the topic ratio and proportion. Ratio, the comparison of two similar quantities A and B having same physical unit is called ratio and is denoted by A ratio B. The symbol between these two, A and B, is called ratio, A ratio B or A is to B. This can also be represented as a fraction A upon B or A over B, where B is not equal to 0 as denominator cannot be equal to 0. Now here the important is same physical unit. It means that both A and B should be same quantities. Like you cannot compare length with weight or mass. Length has to be compared with length, mass is to be compared with mass, and speed is to be compared with speed. It means that same physical quantity has to be compared. And it's also important that the unit of the quantity should also be same, as you can compare. If you are comparing length, then both A and B should have same physical unit. Like if it is meters, then both should be in meters. If it is yards, both should be in yards. If it is in kilometers, both should be in kilometers. If it is in miles, then both should be in miles. Similarly, if it is mass, then both A and B should have same physical unit. If it is kg, then both should be in kgs. If it is in pounds, both should be in pounds. If it is in tons, both should be in tons. If it is some liquid and to be measured in quantities having volumetric units like liters, then A and B both should be in liters, or both should be in kiloliters. Or if it is in ounces, then both should be in ounces. If A and B are in speeds, then both A and B should have same unit, meter per second or kilometer per hour or miles per hour. Then A and B both should be in the same units. Types of ratio. Type 1, duplicate ratio. If the ratio is x ratio y, then duplicate ratio is x square ratio y square. For example, if ratio is 3 ratio 4, then duplicate ratio is 3 square ratio 4 square equal to 9 ratio 16. Type 2, subduplicate ratio. If the ratio is x ratio y, then subduplicate ratio is x to the power half ratio y to the power half, that is root over x ratio root over y. For example, if ratio is 16 ratio 25, then subduplicate ratio is 16 to the power half ratio 25 to the power half, or under root of 16 ratio under root of 25, or root over 16 ratio root over 25, which is 4 ratio 5. As the square root of 16 is 4 and square root of 25 is 5, then this ratio becomes 4 ratio 5. Thus, subduplicate ratio of 16 and 25 is 4 ratio 5. Type 3, triplicate ratio. If the ratio is x ratio y, then triplicate ratio is x to the power 3 ratio y to the power 3, or x cube ratio y cube. For example, if ratio is 3 ratio 4, then triplicate ratio of 3 ratio 4 is 3 to the power 3 ratio 4 to the power 3, and 3 to the power 3 is 27 and 4 to the power 3 is 64. Then the ratio is 27:64. Thus, triplicate ratio of 3:4 is 27:64. Type 4, sub-triplicate ratio. If the ratio is x/y, then sub-triplicate ratio is x to the power 1/3 ratio y to the power 1/3, or cube root of x ratio cube root of y. For example, if ratio is 125:64, then sub-triplicate ratio is 125 to the power 1/3 ratio 64 to the power 1/3, or cube root of 125 ratio cube root of 64, which is equal to 5:4. Thus, sub-triplicate ratio of 125:64 is 5:4. Type 5, inverse ratio. If the ratio is x/y, then inverse ratio is y/x. If it is expressed in fraction as x upon y, then inverse of x upon y is y upon x. For example, if ratio is 7:11, then inverse ratio is 11:7. Or we can say if it is 7/11, then inverse of 7/11 is 11/7. Type 6, compound ratio. If A/B, C/D and E/F are three ratios, then the ratio of product of first number of each ratio to the product of second number of each ratio, that is A multiplied by C multiplied by E ratio B multiplied by D multiplied by F, is the compound ratio. If it is expressed in fraction or in fraction, A upon B multiplied by C upon D multiplied by E upon F, which is equal to A into C into E upon B into D into F. For example, the compound ratio of 1:2, 3:4 and 5:7. Here we have to select the first number of each ratio. That is, in 1:2, the first number is 1. In 3:4, the first number is 3. And in 5:7, the first number is 5. So we have to multiply 1 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 5. Ratio, the second number of each ratio, which is 2, 4 and 7. As 2 is the second number of 1:2, 4 is the second number of 3:4 and 7 is second number of 5:7. Then it is 2 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 7. So the compound ratio is multiplication of 1 into 3 into 5, which is 15, and 2 into 4 into 7, which is 56. So it is 15:56. This way we can find the compound ratio of given numbers. This is shortcut formula for dividing any number into the given ratio. If a number n is divided in the ratio A/B, then part A is A multiplied by n divided by A plus B, and part B, which is the second part of the given ratio, is equal to B multiplied by n divided by A plus B. If we have to divide, it means that if we have to divide any number n in the given ratio A/B, then the quantity or part A is equal to A multiplied by n divided by A plus B, which is the sum of the two numbers A and B, and part B is B into N divided by A plus B. And our example is divide 2400 in the ratio 5:7, then part A is 5 and part B is 7, and number N is 2400. So part A is equal to 5 multiplied by 2400 divided by 5 plus 7. 5 plus 7 is 12, and 12 divides 2400 for 200 times, and 200 multiplied by 5 is 1000. And part B is 7 multiplied by 2400 divided by 5 plus 7, which is 12, and 12 divides 2400 for 200 times, and 200 multiplied by 7 is 1400. So 2400 when divided in the ratio 5:7, then first part, which is 5, is 1000, and second part, which is 7, is 1400. This way we can divide the given number into two parts of ratio 5:7. This is the shortcut formula for dividing any number in the given ratio A/B. In ratio and proportion, we go to the proportion part. What is proportion? So the proportion, if two ratios are equal, then they are said to be in proportion. That is, if A/B is equal to C/D, then A, B, C and D are in proportion, and written as A/B is same as, this is read as, is same as C/D. It is also written as A upon B equal to C upon D. In A/B is same as C/D, then A and D are called extremes. This A is the first element and D is the last element. Then A and D are called extremes. And the middle elements B and C, and B and C are called means. So here the first and last element are extreme, and B and C, which is middle elements, are called means. Properties and formula of proportion. The first formula is A upon B equal to C upon D. Then we can get by cross multiplication A into D equal to B into C. Here A and D are extremes and B and C are means. So we can say product of extremes equal to product of means. Second formula, mean proportion of two numbers A and B is under root of A into B, or A into B to the power 1 by 2. It is also called geometric mean. And for example, the mean proportion of 2 and 8. So what we do, we multiply 2 and 8 and we take square root of it. So 2 multiplied by 8 to the power 1 by 2, or square root of 2 multiplied by 8, and 2 multiplied by 8 is 16, and under root of 16 or power 1 by 2 equal to 4. So the mean proportion of 2 and 8 is 4. Point 3 or property 3, third proportion, if A/B is equal to B/C. Here B is common in both the ratios. Then C is called third proportion of A and B. And the example for it is, find third proportion of 1 and 3. So the solution for it is 1 upon 3 or 1/3 equal to 3/x. Then by cross multiplication we get the value of x, which is x equal to 9. Thus 9 is the third proportion of 1 and 3. I hope you have understood this third proportion. When two numbers are given, here two numbers are 1 and 3, then 1/3 is same as or is equal to 3/x. then we have to find the value of x, and by cross multiplication we can get the value of x, which is 9. So 9 is the third proportion of 1 and 3. Property 4, fourth proportion. If A ratio B equal to C ratio D, then D is called fourth proportion of A, B and C. We can learn this by one example, and the example is find fourth proportion of 1, 2 and 3. So the solution is 1 ratio 2 or 1 upon 2 equal to 3 ratio x or 3 upon x. By cross multiplication we get x equal to 6. Thus 6 is fourth proportion of 1, 2 and 3. Here we can just find 1 upon 2 is equal to 3 upon 6, because 3 upon 6 when simplified, 3 cancels 6 for 2 times. So this is again 1 upon 2. But when it is asked find the fourth proportion of 1, 2 and 3, then as per the solution our answer is x equal to 6, or fourth proportion equal to 6. Property 5 of proportions. If A ratio B equal to C ratio D, or if we write in fractions A upon B equal to C upon D, then if we invert it, then it becomes B ratio A equal to D ratio C, or B upon A equal to D upon C, and this is called invertendo, as we have inversed the fractions. The property B, if we add 1 on both sides of A upon B equal to C upon D, then we get A plus B upon B equal to C plus D upon D, and this property is called componendo. Similarly, if we subtract 1 from both sides of A upon B equal to C upon D, then we get A minus B upon B equal to C minus D upon D, and this property is called dividendo. And if we divide property B by property C, then we get property D, which is A plus B upon A minus B equal to C plus D upon C minus D, and this is called componendo and dividendo. Further, if A upon B equal to C upon D equal to E upon F, and we continue like this, then this is equal to, we have to add all the numbers of numerator divided by all the numbers of denominator, which is equal to A plus C plus E dash 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 upon B plus D plus F. If we multiply same numbers in numerator and denominator of each element of the proportion, then we get x into A plus y into C plus z into E upon x into B plus y into D plus z into F. This way we get the property of proportions. Here completes this video of formula and properties of ratio and proportion. In next videos, we are going to solve the questions on ratios. Please watch all the videos on quantitative aptitude, on ratio and proportion, and all other videos. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the latest notifications.